Hey everyone, welcome back to the class. If you are reading this title and joining me today, give yourself a massive round of applause because you have officially made it to part 4 of our Ultimate Cash Flow Statement series. Now, if you are just joining us today, let me give you a super quick recap of the rock-solid foundation we've built so far. In part 1, we broke down why companies even make this statement and the legal rules under Accounting Standard 3. In part 2, we cleared up the big exam traps around what counts as cash and cash equivalents and why normal equity shares get kicked out of that club. And in part 3, we mastered the actual movement of money, the difference between a cash inflow and a cash outflow, and why shifting money inside your cash bucket is completely ignored. If you missed any of those, do not panic. The links to the entire playlist are right down in the pinned comment below. Go watch them to get your concepts crystal clear. But today is where the real fun begins. Today, we are finally opening up the actual layout of a cash flow statement and looking at the big 3 activities that keep every business on the planet alive. Before we pull out the digital whiteboard and look at our 3 massive buckets, let's do a quick check. If you haven't already, take just 2 seconds right now to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming practical problems. Give this video a huge like to help beat that YouTube algorithm so more students can find us, and share this link right now in your school WhatsApp groups or with your commerce besties. Your support means everything to me, and it's what helps this channel grow day by day. All done? Let's start. Alright, imagine you run a massive business. Let's say a trendy clothing brand. Every single day, hundreds of transactions are happening. You are selling t-shirts, paying electricity bills, buying new sewing machines, taking bank loans, and paying interest. If you just list all of these in one giant line, your investors and managers will look at it and their heads will spin. It's complete chaos. To fix this, Accounting Standard 3 gives us a beautiful solution. It says, let's take every single cash transaction in the world and sort them into exactly 3 separate buckets. These 3 buckets are operating activities, investing activities, financing activities. Why do we do this? Because it helps anyone looking at the business instantly understand exactly how the company is generating its money and where it is spending it. Think about it like this. If a company has 10 lakhs rupees in the bank, that sounds great, right? But what if they got all that money by selling off their factory land? That's bad news. What if they got it by selling thousands of t-shirts? That's amazing news. By separating these activities, we see the real story behind the cash. Let's look into each bucket one by one so you can master them for your exam. First up is operating activities. This is the absolute heart and soul of the business. Write this down. Operating activities are the principal revenue-producing activities of the enterprise. In normal, this just means your core everyday business. Next up is bucket number 2, investing activities. This bucket is all about the long-term assets and investments of the company. It answers the question, what are you buying today to help your business grow tomorrow? Basically, anything related to buying or selling non-current assets like land, buildings, machinery, or long-term investments goes right into this bucket. Finally, we have bucket number 3, financing activities. This bucket is all about how you fund the business. It deals with the company's capital and its borrowings. It answers the question, where did you get the big money from, and how are you paying it back? When you first started your clothing brand, you probably didn't have millions of rupees just sitting in your pocket. You needed financing. Now that we know our 3 massive buckets, it's time to pick up the very first one, operating activities, and look at it under a microscope. This is the absolute core of your cash flow statement, and it carries the most weight in your exam problems. Like we briefly mentioned before, operating activities are simply the activities related to the main business operations of an enterprise. Let's drop the complicated accounting textbook definitions for a second and talk like normal humans. Ask yourself this one simple question when looking at a company. What is this company's daily hustle? How do they actually survive and make bread every single day? The answer to that question is their operating activity. Let's look at 3 completely different businesses to see how the main operation changes depending on what you do. What is a bakery's main operation? Baking and selling delicious cakes and bread. So, When they buy flour, pay the baker's wages, and collect cash from a customer buying a birthday cake, that is all operating cash flow. If the bakery buys a fancy new delivery van, is that a main operation? No, that's an asset, which belongs to our investing bucket. What is the main operation of a software company? Writing code and selling software subscriptions. For them, receiving cash from users renewing their app subscriptions is an operating inflow. Paying monthly fees for cloud servers or paying software developer salaries is an operating outflow. Now let's check the shoe shop. What is their main operation? Buying shoes from brands like Nike or Adidas at a wholesale price and selling them to shoe lovers at a retail price. For them, paying cash to buy shoe inventory is an operating outflow, and collecting cash at the billing counter is an operating inflow. Do you see the pattern here? Operating activities are all about your revenue-producing engine. It's the cash generated from your day-to-day goods or services. In your Class 12 practical problems, the board will give you a giant mixed list of items, and your job is to isolate these operational items. If it helps you run the core shop today, it goes here. If it's a transaction meant to help you expand the factory for the next 5 years, or if it's a loan to fund the business, it gets kicked out of this bucket completely. Now, you might be wondering, ma'am, we already calculate net profit in our profit and loss account. Why do we need to calculate operating cash flow separately? Write this down in your notebooks in golden ink. Profit is just a number on paper, but cash flow is the reality. This brings us to the importance of operating activities. Why is this specific bucket the absolute king of the cash flow statement? There are two massive reasons that every investor, bank manager, and CBSE examiner looks for. First one, it shows the internal solvency of the business. Solvency is just a fancy accounting word for a company's ability to pay its bills on time. Internal solvency means the business can survive and stand on its own 2 feet using only the money generated from its core shop without begging banks for loans or begging the public to buy more shares. When a company has a massive, healthy, positive cash flow from its operations, it gives them the ultimate financial freedom. It indicates that the company has the direct ability to do 3 incredible things. A. Pay dividends to shareholders. Shareholders invest their hard-earned money into your company, and they expect a reward called a dividend. You cannot pay dividends using paper profit. You can only pay dividends with real cash sitting in the bank. A strong operating cash flow means you can keep your investors incredibly happy and loyal. B. Repay existing loans. No business likes to stay in debt forever. When bank loans mature, or when you have to pay monthly interest, you need hard cash. If your daily operations are printing money, you can comfortably pay off your bank debts without stretching or panicking. C. Make new investments for the future. If you want to expand your business, say, open 5 new branches of your store or buy advanced automated machinery, where should that money ideally come from? Taking out another loan? No. The best way to grow is to use your own internal cash. A healthy operating cash flow lets a company invest in its own growth effortlessly. Now that we know why operating activities are the absolute king of the cash flow statement, let's get into the exact list of items you will see in your Class 12 numeric problems. We are going to divide our operating bucket into 2 clear columns, cash inflows and cash outflows. Let's start with the happy part, the inflows. Where does an operating business get its daily cash from? There are 3 main sources. First one, cash received from the sale of goods. This is the most obvious one. If you run a clothing boutique and a customer walks in, picks up a jacket, and hands you 3,000 rupees cash, boom, that is an operating cash inflow. It also includes the cash you collect from your debtors who bought goods on credit earlier and are paying you today. Second one, cash received from providing services. What if your business doesn't sell physical products? What if you run a hair salon, a consulting firm, or an online tuition center? When a client pays you for a haircut, a business audit, or a monthly coaching session, that cash received for your professional service goes straight into this operational inflow list. And the third one, cash received from commission, royalty, and fees. This is a favorite twist for CBSE examiners. Imagine your brand allows another company to use your logo or your software, and they pay you a royalty fee. Or imagine you act as an agent and earn a commission for making a business deal happen. Because this commission, royalty, or fee is part of your regular business revenue, it is classified as a core operating inflow. Now let's look at the other side of the coin, the outflows. To keep that daily engine running and making money, you have to spend money. Here are the 4 classic operational expenses where your cash flows out. 1. Payment to suppliers, creditors. To sell t-shirts, you need to buy fabric. To bake bread, you need to buy flour. When you write a check to your suppliers or pay off your creditors for raw materials, cash leaves your bank account. This is your biggest regular operating outflow. 2. Payment of wages and salaries. Your business cannot run without your amazing staff, workers, and managers. When you pay monthly wages to your factory workers or transfer salaries to your office staff, that money leaving the company pocket is a direct operational outflow. 3. Payment of operating expenses. Think about all the other daily bills that keep the store open. Office rent, electricity bills, shop insurance, printing paper, and advertising costs. Since these expenses are completely necessary to run your day-to-day operations, paying them creates an operating outflow. 4. Payment of income tax, generally. Here is a massive, giant red flag for your exams. Income tax payments are generally classified under operating activities. Why? Because the government charges you tax based on the profits you made from your core operations. Now, why did I say generally? Because there's a tiny exception. If the tax is specifically paid on an investing activity, like capital gains tax on selling a building, it goes to the investing bucket. But in 95% of your class 12 problems, whenever you see tax paid, you will subtract it right here at the bottom of your operating activities section. Okay, please note the ultimate, special points section of this chapter. If you want to score a perfect 100 in your board exams, you need to master the exceptions. Usually, when you hear words like securities, shares, loans, or advances, your brain automatically jumps to investing or financing activities, right? But Accounting Standard 3 has 2 massive exceptions where these exact items get dragged right back into the operating activities bucket. Let's break down exactly why this happens so you never have to memorize it. Special point 1. Trading securities, marketable securities for trading. In our last video, we said that normal investments belong to the investing bucket. But what if your company buys shares, bonds, or mutual funds strictly to trade them within a few days or weeks to make a quick buck? These are called trading securities. Think of it like a shoe store. The store buys shoes not to keep them forever, but to sell them next week for a profit. For a company dealing in trading securities, those shares and bonds are their inventory. It is their daily hustle. Therefore, as 3 clearly states that the purchase and sale of trading securities must be treated as operating activities, not investing activities. Special point 2. Financial enterprises versus non-financial enterprises. This next one is a classic board exam trap. The examiner will slip the words financial enterprise into the question, and if you aren't paying attention, you lose easy marks. Think about it. What is a bank's daily bread and butter? They take money from savers and give loans and advances to borrowers. That is their main operation. So, if a regular company gives a loan to another business, it's an investing activity. But if a financial enterprise gives a loan or an advance, it goes straight into operating activities. See how logical it is? You always have to ask yourself, what is the core nature of this specific business? Let's see if you can ace today's final twist question. If a financial enterprise, like a bank, pays interest on its customer deposits, which bucket does that interest payment belong to? Operating, investing, or financing? Think about what a bank does every single day to stay in business. Scroll down and drop your answer in the comments right now. Let's see who gets a perfect streak on these special points. If this video helped you conquer these tricky textbook exceptions, please support the channel. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a big like, and share it with your classmates so they don't fall into the examiner's trap. Thank you so much for watching this video. You are doing absolutely incredible. Keep your concepts crystal clear, and I will see you in part 5 where we finally look at the full format and start solving numeric problems.